Lesson 11, the genetic fallacy. This is basically claiming that you can tell whether or not something is good or bad based off of its source of origin. So for example, your next door neighbor is a good person. Because he's a good person, he's not going to lie to you. Is that true? Is it possible for him to lie to you? It is possible. Therefore, you cannot use this line of reasoning. This is the genetic fallacy. One that I'm very familiar with and I've heard a lot of times is people will be like, well, the reason we know that this music is bad is because the artist is atheist, or the artist sold his soul to Lucifer, or Christmas is bad because originally it was pagan and it was some way to worship Baal. Or no, this is the genetic fallacy. You cannot say that because the origin is good or bad, that it must mean whatever came out of it is good or bad. That's not how it works. I'll give you an example. Does anybody know where treadmills came from? Treadmills were actually an instrument of torture used to punish criminals. Okay? Do you have an instrument of torture in your home? You might say, yeah, it's an instrument of torture, all right. Treadmills aren't bad just because originally they were used to torture people, okay? Magnetic tape, the little cassette tapes or the VHS tapes, remember if you're old enough to know what those are? The magnetic tape was invented by the Nazis. Does that mean it's bad? We can't use it? Did you know microwaves were invented by the Nazis? The Volkswagen? Is it bad just because the people that made it were bad? Let's say that Cain was he's the first person that made a knife, and he made it to kill his brother. Does that mean all knives are bad? I'm not saying that he did make it, but just for sake of argument, no. So you cannot say that because of the origin of something, therefore you know the results. Because, well, it came from a bad source, it has to be bad. Or it came from a good source, it has to be good. No, that's not necessarily how it works. This is a bad pattern of logic. That's the genetic fallacy for you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again with lesson 12.